Hi, I am Jair Fory, the host for 4D Sports. My guest for today is Sergio Valle. He's a national team player with the beach soccer team. We will be right back. Hi, welcome back, Sergio. You have a very interesting life. You have done so many great things. You have been a professional. Well, you play beach soccer with the U.S. national team. But let's go back a little bit. A few years back, you also had two kids, graduated from the university. You play intercollegiate sports.
Yes,
You
sir.
have a full-time job. How do you do
Right.
all of those things? How?
Well, first off, thank you for having me. I appreciate the generosity and the invite. I mean, you pretty much just stated a lot of my history or past, whatever, which way you want to look at it. Yeah, I mean, I put myself through school. Started off at a junior college, transferred over to the university, and I played 2 years of intercollegiate sport there at the NCAA level. And the whole time I still had a full-time job, and raising two kids and that dynamic at home, plate was definitely full. Plate was definitely full, and it's just something that you kind of get used to as an athlete, especially as a student athlete. There's always something going on. You're always busy. There's always homework and classwork, and then training, and then game travel, and then whatever extracurricular hobbies you might want to have, you have to fit all that in. So I just kind of became a part of who I was.
Well, I mean, and that's what is so impressive about you, because I mean, we have so many kids out there that are trying to get into the universities, and they might not know that there's a lot of other things that people are doing
Right.
in order to get there. I mean, one is the academics. Yeah,
Right.
you got to be very solid. The other
Right.
one is if you play in the sports, you got to be very competitive,
Even more so.
very
yeah.
talented.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on top of that, if you have kids, I mean,
Right.
how do you manage all of those things, really? I mean, because kids, the kids, they will
Right.
tell you right away, Daddy, I need you now, not tomorrow,
I know. I know.
not after you coming back from a long trip.
Right, right. I mean, it was challenging, I mean, my son, he's 8 now, so when I was at the university, he was still there. He was about going on 2 when I first got into my first year at the university, and by the time I got out, he was just about to turn 4. So he was very at the playful age, the very age of discovery, and so every time I came back from a travel, it was just so fulfilling to see him anticipate my return, and it was great. And so I looked forward to that. And obviously, once I was home, I was home. That was it. My focus was on my son, because I was already away so long and so much. I wanted to make sure that when I was home, I was there with him, and even from his age, at that age, we were playing soccer. I mean, and even today he's a soccer player. So he's kind of taking up a little bit after what I do, because as a youngster, he was always at training. I'd bring him to practices. I'd bring him to home games. Eventually, when I branched out of the university and I went off and I played at other levels, he was always involved, and he was always there. So I involved him in my life as much as I wanted to be involved in his life. So I kind of found a balance.
Well, so now that we're talking about your kids, what are the names?
So my son, he's Sergio Alejandro, the second actually, and yeah, I know he's not a junior, and my daughter Solis Alexa.
Lisa Lesa,
Yeah,
wow.
Solis Alexa.
So,
yeah. So she's 5.
She's 5.
Yeah,
And
she's
what
5.
is it that Lisa Alexa does? Is she into sports or she's
So
not into sports?
Solis, she's a soccer player as well. She's in her
wow.
second year of soccer at 5 years old. Yeah, so she started at 3, turning on 4, and she just started 4 now, and she just turned 5. So she's in her second season. She actually loves to dance. She's a little dancer. Yeah, she takes up after her mom, and which is great. I mean, so both my kids are active. I'm happy. They're busy and they're active and they want to be outside versus being inside. So I mean, it's great for me.
So are you coaching them or you just let
So,
them play?
so actually, with my son, I hadn't coached him from 4 to 7 because I didn't want to be too hard on him, having expectations on how I think they should be coached and so forth. So, but actually, he got selected for the competitive division for his league. So he's the traveling team now, or he's on the traveling team now. And once that happened, I said, okay, I want to be a part of this. I want to make sure that I can help develop my son the way I would have liked to have been developed at that age. So I stepped in as an assistant, and then next thing you know, I became a head coach, and so now I'm my son's head coach. And so we travel, and we just had a nice, tough, hard-fought game on Saturday, which we finished in a 3-3 tie.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow. So that's outstanding that you that as a parent you're able to go and work with your kids and all of
Right.
that, because many parents they're missing in some of the
Right.
homes these days.
Right, and so that's the thing. I mean, as long as we're able to kind of bring the dynamic together to where we don't have a division of this is my job and then this is my family. It's all together in the sense to where my kids go with me to my job a lot, especially when I'm playing or I'm training. They're with me there. They experience everything. They know all my teammates, and so same thing with them. So now I want to come back and in a sense help out their child development and coach them from a young age up. That way, I feel that they're getting the most out of their experience.
And I know that's great that all the work that you are doing with your kids. I mean, I'm very happy to see
Thank you.
to hear that.
Thank you.
In terms of you, what position do you play, and what is this about beach soccer?
Beach soccer. Well, don't hold your breath. Beach soccer is actually a revolution that's taken over the world. Yeah, I mean, be careful. Be careful. It really is. So I'm a goalkeeper. So I'm the last guy standing. I'm trying to save the day. I'm either the hero or the villain, and it's kind of who I've always been and who I've always played, and that's something I've been doing since I was 9, 10 years old, and I got serious with the sport of just soccer in general when I was 14, and obviously the USA World Cup helped out a lot. Having it come home, having it be at Stanford, having it be at the Rose Bowl, having it be in California, just in the country itself, it really kind of struck a chord with me because it was always on. TV was always playing soccer for that summer, and it really catapulted me to want to do it myself and aspire to be a professional. So I actually went to the university to go play. That was a big part of the reason why I stayed home, was because I was offered to go play for our local university here in the East Bay, and it worked out great because my son was already born, and I didn't want to leave him, and so I decided to stay home. It just worked out perfectly, and I played there for 2 years, and then I ended up coming in contact with a pseudo liaison agent kind of thing, and I got shopped around to the MLS, and I went on tours with the MLS for about 2 years, training camps with the Portland Timbers when they were still in the USL, with the Earthquakes, Galaxy, the East Coast, about 3-4 teams. So I kind of got a feel for what that level was expecting, and I was able to prepare for it and challenge myself and actually develop myself at that level. And eventually, after 2 years, I never really found a home, unfortunately. But fortunately, another door opened, which was beach soccer. And I was actually referred out to beach soccer. Your skills might be able to transfer over to the beach. It's a new sport in the country. Give it a shot. It's still growing. Go check it out. And I did. I went and I checked it out, and I technically had an unofficial tryout with a couple USA team members. They liked me. They thought I can hang with their game, and so they continued to invite me out. And then in 2009, when the USA team had kind of a shakedown, and they brought in a new coach, he was looking for new talent, and so I was recommended through those players that I was training with. I was recommended to go try out for the USA team, and I went to camp. Camp was amazing. You know, Huntington Beach is gorgeous, and you can just imagine. I mean, obviously soccer is very popular here, and you can see taking that beautiful game and putting it on a beautiful environment, on the sand, at the beach, under the sun. It's gorgeous, and I fell in love with it.
You fall in love with
I
that?
fell in love with it.
No, but it's an excellent sport. I mean, especially when you're talking about the beaches there and
Right.
there's so many people. It's
Right.
very enclosed. But one of the things that I would like to ask you is, in terms of going from grass or turf into the sunny,
The sand.
I mean,
Yeah.
do you see any differences?
Oh,
Especially with that sun coming into your eyes as a goalkeeper.
Right.
Do they do that to see if they can score on you? Just throw some little sand over there in
know,
your eyes?
You know, some players are kind of malicious. Yeah, some players are malicious. I mean, just like in any other sport, you'll have a tough guy, and especially in my position, I'm going against traffic. You know, so I tend to come at the forward or collide with the forward, and being that it's sand, I mean, it flies everywhere. So sand constantly gets in your eye. A lot of people say wear goggles or glasses, but I just think that it bothers me more than anything else. So I just kind of just go out there and bear the environment itself and figure I become part of the sport altogether. You know?
Yeah. Let's talk about the U.S. national team.
Yes, sir.
How was, because I mean, usually when athletes were the younger, they think about maybe playing in college or playing in the professional league, but now we're talking about going beyond that, which is a national team.
Right.
So how was your first experience with the national team like? Oh,
The national team was a nice wake-up call. You know, I mean, as a kid, you aspire to play professionally, and you watch it on TV, and especially as a cocky high school kid, you're like, oh, I can do that. Oh, that can be me. But then the reality of it, there's a huge gap, right? It takes so much training, it takes so much dedication, so much effort, desire, will, drive. I mean, you name it. And just you really have to give yourself to that commitment. You really have to just leap and go for it. And there's a lot of sacrifices that have to be made, And so, like I said, I realized it was something I wanted to do, and I technically used more than one thing in my advantage, because at the university I went for my bachelor's degree in science, and my major is exercise physiology with an emphasis in nutrition. So I technically became my own trainer. I became my own conditioning coach. I became my own nutritionist, and I just really turned my life upside down, and I committed myself to this, and I said, I'm going to be the best me I can possibly be in every which way, whether it be fit, whether it be skill, technique, whatever it may be. I wanted to make sure that I crossed all my T's and I dotted all my I's. That way there was no other excuse but me. I didn't want anybody else to tell me I couldn't. It was up to me. And so I committed to it, and realizing that I didn't make the cut the first time around at the USA camp. Obviously, I was still green. I was a new kid on the block, and although I showed potential, the coach told me himself that he saw me playing the game long term, but at the moment I needed to work on such things. So I went home. I went home for the spring, because this was in the spring. So I went home for the rest of the spring, pretty much half the summer, and I just got to work. I mean, I was at the beach, and the beautiful thing is that we're here in California, so I mean, the beach isn't very far at all. So I would have felt guilty not going to train. So I made sure that I used my time efficiently. I trained as much as possible, got on the beach, on the sand as much as possible, 3-4 times a week, plus regular conditioning on grass and whatnot. Because going on beach, it's a whole different game. I mean, on sand, you step and the sand gives. And so your conditioning level is severely tested. And it's funny because we've had actually professional guys from the MLS come into the beach camp trying to make the team, and they themselves can't make it. And I don't want to say who they've been, but a lot of guys that you see on your normal ESPN screen or whatever it might be, you see them succeed on grass. I can point out a few of them, more than a few of them, that could not do it on sand. It's just a totally different game.
Yes, indeed. It's a very different game. But one of the things that I like, and I'm going to go back to what you were talking about, is that you graduated, and then because of the degree that you had, you were able to implement
Right.
yeah, the science component
Right.
to your training.
Right.
And I mean, this is outstanding to
Right.
be able to do something like that. And that's basically maybe what most of the kids out there, they need to understand that it's not just going on the field and running and jumping and all of that,
Right.
but there's a science to it,
Right.
and it has to be applied science
Right.
to it. Yeah, so that's great, outstanding on that.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
congratulate you on that one.
Thank you.
The other part is, now you have made the national team. I mean, what
Yes,
does
sir.
it feel to have the national anthem going for
Oh.
the first game?
Oh, it's I mean, even right now, I just kind of got stuck. I mean, it's really it's really just a great feeling. I mean, I almost cannot describe it. I really don't think words would do it justice. Um, well, my first experience earning a cap at the international level with the USA team was actually abroad. We were overseas, and we went to go play in Portugal. And we were in a tournament in Portugal, competing against World Cup champion and World Cup dominator Brazil, Portugal and Argentina. And it's a small tournament. It's actually considered the original World Cup, the Mundialito. It's the original World Cup before FIFA stepped in. And so I participated in that tournament, and playing Portugal was our first game. And so we're lined up, and everybody's lined up based on number, goalkeeper here, captain here, and the national anthem goes on. So we're a visiting team, so our anthem goes on first. And so we're proud, everybody, chest is up and big and showing the emblem and our numbers down their stomach, and it was just a fantastic feeling, because actually some of the crowd in Portugal, they got up and sang with us, and so it was a beautiful feeling to be welcomed, and it was a beautiful feeling to represent the country, knowing that in this particular sport, in this particular event, you are the selected few that get to represent your country, and obviously you go and you make a good example for that same reason. But then obviously knowing that we were on quote unquote enemy territory, reality kind of struck home when their national anthem came on. I mean, the stadium roared, and you're talking 15, 16,000 people in this stadium, and it's packed, and the stadium roared for the Portuguese national anthem, and you realize, wow, like this is big time. This is real big time. This is like we got into something serious here, and it was just a beautiful experience all the way around.
How did it go? You see, we gotta talk about the outcome. Yeah.
Well, against Portugal, it went decent. Like I said, we were extremely overwhelmed. We were pretty much a brand new team. A lot of us in my pretty much in my experience, or like my experience, we were debuting, and we were trying to earn our first caps, and we were trying to really earn a spot, because that tournament was actually a test run for us, because we had the World Cup qualifier coming up 3 months later. So we went to this tournament trying out new guys, and unfortunately, when you try out new guys, there really isn't that chemistry built yet within the team, and it showed. It showed. There was a lot of unorganized situations to where other teams capitalized on us because we weren't solid, we weren't structured, and we paid for it. So long story short, and I keep beating around the bush, but long story short, against Portugal, we lost 5-2. And with technically, based on beach soccer standards, it's not a bad score. At the international level, or at the world level, 9 goals per average for a game.
Oh, wow.
9 goals per average.
Wow.
So we were under that average. And the beautiful thing is that the 9 goals weren't scored against us. We shared them. So it was 5-2. So.
No, so that part is great. That's pretty great. Now we go from that sport, from the national team, into modeling. Modeling.
Modeling. Well, I don't know what rumors you
Come
heard.
on, I heard something.
I don't know what rumors
that you were going over there on the runway and all of that. How that came to be?
Well, things are interesting. They kind of just happened, I really didn't plan on quote unquote modeling or anything else that followed with it. I was just playing. Beach soccer, and with the national team you tour, and we were hosting tournaments in the country, and we had spent some time in San Diego doing a local tournament, just trying to expose beach soccer to the community and get the locals familiar with the sport, being that San Diego is pretty much a coastal city. It's all about beach and fun summertime. So we were there promoting that and building off of that. and we had a tournament in Miami, just like 2 weeks later. So we went to Miami. We had this beautiful tournament out there, which we finished in second place.
Wow.
Yeah, so we got
That's
silver
nice.
for that. Behind Brazil, of course, just behind Brazil.
Mhm.
But Brazil's a world champion, so
Yeah, not
right,
bad,
yeah,
not
not
bad,
bad,
not
not
bad.
bad. So there in Miami, it's a hot spot. I mean, you have music people, you have actors, you have soap opera, telenovela actors, actresses, photographers, just a lot of celebrities there. And even basketball players. There was a lot of Miami Heat players there watching us play because we're the sport, or for that event, we were the sport to watch, right? So, long story short, just networking, just meeting a photographer here and getting pictures from him there, and I actually ended up making a friend with an actress from Miami, and she's in Telemundo and whatnot, and so um, she was always very outgoing, and she inspired me to really go ahead and pursue modeling. She thought I could, and she passed me on to her photographer friend, and ironically, when I came back home, I had that thought in my mind, like, possibly, maybe I should look into it, but I never really went for it. Unfortunately, just weeks after I came back, I actually injured my knee, and a nice injury that put me out for a while, and so I was looking for something to do, and I was a little bummed, I was a little down because my soccer career was put on pause. Things were going great with soccer. I was traveling and experiencing things that I could only imagine as a kid, right? I mean, especially as a kid, you watch it on TV and you're like, I want to do that. I was actually doing that, and it got put on pause. So looking for an alternative to stay active and stay pretty much awake. I don't want to, pass up on opportunities. I went back to that initial proposal, try modeling, try it out. So I followed up on it, and I followed through with it, and I pretty much got a portfolio put together for me. And they're like, this will keep you motivated, it'll keep you active, and more importantly, it'll keep you fit. It'll give you a reason to stay fit. That way, when you recover from your injury, you're able to come back and you can pick up where you left off. So I did so. I had a portfolio in my hands, and I shopped it around, and next thing you know, things kind of work out. And I got picked up for a couple of things here and there.
Well, I'm glad that you were able to follow the instructions of the person over in Telemundo.
Right.
To make it short, I also had the opportunity to meet with Barbara Streisand once
nice.
before. Yeah, so then by being able to meet with her, and at one point we were able to even to sing the Macarena.
Nice.
You know what I mean, with Barbara
Nice.
Streisand. So I'm glad, because I mean those things will motivate you to do things, and that's why I'm doing this show.
Right.
You see what I mean? It's kind of like,
Right.
wow, she's on TV, she's such an interesting person.
Right.
So let me see if I can get her on TV on
Right.
the other side. So yeah, so that's good. But let's go a little bit farther, because you just did all of that, and now you're on a video. So
Kinda.
talk to us about that video that you're in.
I was getting
Yeah.
thrown under the bus here, aren't I? Man, these rumors, I swear.
Rumors, baby.
Yeah. So one thing led to another from the modeling, and I was asked if I wanted to do acting, and I said, "Oh no, please no, I'm not an actor. I would never consider myself an actor." But then the proposal was, "Well, I have a silent film. You don't have to say a word. You don't have to say a word. Just try it out. Just body language, just whatever we tell you to do, just try to do it on camera." So through some convincing, I decided to go through it, and I did the silent film. Worked out fine. Turns out that kind of snowballed, and then I got an offer here, an offer there, and things kind of moved on, and then eventually I got an offer for a music video, and I did the music video as the model / love interest, and it worked out. I mean, I'm not going to complain, right? So I mean, it worked out. I had fun with it, and it's with the band that's really, or band group, but call them a band. They're doing very well. They're actually on tour now with Justin Bieber and whatnot. So I mean, the video is blowing up. So can I say the name? I don't know if I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah, group's name is Legacy. So feel free to look them up. Song is I Never Got Over You. So a little hint there. But yeah, so I mean, they're doing well. So as the video does well, obviously I do well. Because the more exposure I get,
Hold on, Sergio.
the more,
Hold on, Sergio.
the more
Sergio,
opportunities
hold on,
open up.
hold on. I have tears in my eyes right now.
Oh, stop it.
I couldn't get all. What was the name of the title? What's the title?
I never got over you.
So you're
By
still,
legacy.
So you're still crying about it?
Actually, I'm just not getting over it. So,
That's nice. That's
yeah.
nice.
Keep him busy.
Keep him busy. No,
Keep him
so
busy.
again, it is amazing what you have done. Okay.
Thank you.
From junior college to professional to national team to modeling to videos, and who knows? Maybe in a few more years we will see you, or maybe sooner than that we will see you in a movie.
Maybe. I'm working on that.
Sergio, this is important to me.
Yes, sir.
What can you tell somebody, a young kid that is out there that is trying to get into college, that wants to play competitive sports, or what can you tell them?
More than anything else, from personal experience, education was always something I can fall back on. Like I said, I use my education to promote my professionalism. So for any kid out there, I definitely would say, find what it is that you love to do. In my instance, it was soccer. I wanted to do soccer, so I devoted myself to it. Whether it be art, music, literature, anything. Find whatever your passion is and just chase it. Chase it into college, make sure you can go study it, make sure that you can make it a career, and then from that point forward, the door will open up. I mean, from college on, it's a whole different life. I mean, it's the real world. So once you're able to create that solid foundation for yourself, you can build anything.
And what about the fact that we have kids out there that they might go to college, but they're not as dedicated, and they always want to do well, but somehow they're doing some other things.
Well, you just said they're not just as dedicated.
They're just dedicated.
Yeah, so it's obviously the dedication. It's how bad do you want it and what are you willing to give up for it? What can you sacrifice? And that's really what it comes down to, is self-sacrifice. How much of yourself are you willing to devote to this passion?
Mm-hmm. So when are we going to see you back on the U.S. national team?
Actually, I'm recovering from this knee injury, and they're actually going through the World Cup qualifiers in December. I'll still be out for that. But we do have professional beach tours, which is something that I do, which is what got me into the national team. So we have that coming up in the spring.
Sergio, we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
You are doing great things, and we're going to follow you through.
Thank you.
All throughout the video, whatever. Thank you for watching. This is 4D Sports.
Thank you for having me.